Hello, you guys. I'm trying to be very professional today to come and talk to you about just some tips on being a music teacher. Because as a music teacher, we're actually a small business owner, which is awesome. And I don't know about you, but when I was in music school, when I was getting my bachelor's and my master's, I was not thinking about the business side of things. I was just trying to play my instrument, and I was teaching some lessons and just having fun with things. For the most part, trying to not become burned out and getting burned out in the end. But anyway, that's another video. So I did decide to get a business minor, but that really doesn't mean that I know much about business, to be honest. I just kind of dipped my toe in. So these tips today are going to be kind of like survival tips, or just to kind of get you thinking about maybe some ideas that you may not have considered yet, or you may have already considered and you just need to hear them again because you forgot, and you need to get the ball going so that you can start your business and be a music teacher. And some of these things won't necessarily just apply to just music teachers. And it honestly doesn't have to be very complicated at all. In fact, keeping it simple is a really good idea. So I'm going to just go through my list. We're going to talk about the business side. We're going to just dip our toe into the business side of being a music teacher. So my number one tip for being a music teacher is to live a frugal but fabulous life. Try and live below your means, which doesn't mean that you have to have a horrible existence. It actually just means that you have money and your basic needs are met. So, we can expand upon these ideas in other videos, but just contemplate the idea of living a frugal but fabulous life. Have a few things that are really awesome. Don't have a shopping addiction. Don't have any fantasy about your lifestyle. Just, we have a calling to be musicians and to be teachers, and we almost have to live, we could until we make our millions, kind of live a very monk-like life in a way. Just meaning that our focus is not on the material world as much. We have to live in the material world, of course. We need professional clothes, we need a place to live, we need to be safe, we need food, we need to have fun. But you need to figure out a way to do that in a frugal way that would allow you to do that living below your means. So enjoying the simple things in life is a wonderful thing. So anyway, let me get into some other stuff. So the first thing to think about with being a music teacher is getting students, right? It can be difficult and confusing to get students, but actually just by sharing what it is that you do, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media platform you use, that's a way that you can connect with the world, right? You might already know that, but some of us musicians need that little extra, like you need to put yourself out in the world, share your light, shine your light, and it can just be scary and also something that you might not want to do, but here's your permission slip to go do that. Start your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, whatever it is, sharing about music and your perspective of music and sharing little tips. And just post something every week or so. You might have a like a series that you might want to start. You could just play a little thing every week. You just start getting yourself out there, and people will come and find you. And there's so many people that teach the violin or the viola or whatever instrument it is, but even in your own experience, didn't you find your teacher based off of them as a person as well as a player? It's like you have to connect with the person as well. So anyway, sharing yourself with the world in a way through social media is a way for other people to kind of understand who you are and feel like they want to work with you if they are called to. So that's the first thing. The second thing is maybe the business side. And with the business side, I would really recommend that you find an accountant to work with and a financial advisor. I was really lucky, and I just kind of through like just trial and error and just doing my thing and being a teacher, I was able to connect with people that actually did that professionally through students' professional contacts. So I was able to connect with an accountant and an investment advisor. And an accountant is going to help you with your taxes, which we'll get to in a little bit. And they can also help you to set up your business license, your business name, your business accounts, all that kind of thing with taxes. You know, they're somebody that's really knowledgeable about that side of the spectrum, and you don't need to know everything. Your job is to teach the world music, right? To be a music teacher, to play your instrument, whatever it is that you want to do. You don't need to know everything about taxes and finances and all that kind of thing. Just find somebody who specializes in that. We've all seen those like local accountants in our little local towns. There's like a accountant office. Just go in and talk to them perhaps and see, you know, if they can help you with that kind of thing and see what their rates are. That would be great. And then also with investments, which we'll talk about later, it's really nice. It's just nice to have professional contacts that you can talk to, have a person that you can talk to. You don't necessarily need an investment advisor, but I have one who was really sweet and was willing to help me when I really didn't have very much money at all, and I still don't really have very much money at all, but it's just important that we start investing. And when I first started, I only was contributing, you know, like $50 a month to my investments, but it was the fact that I was doing it, and over time I was able to bump that up, and it was just something that I didn't even think about. It just came out of my accounts, and it was already, you know, doing its thing. So students, setting up your business, having helpful professional contacts, those are just really, really helpful things. The other thing that you can just do on your own is start to save. This goes back into the frugal lifestyle perspective, but it's really hard. I don't want you to think that I have all these things down. I don't. It takes a long time to actually get yourself going. Perhaps you're going to make mistakes along the way. It's just hard. Maybe you'll be able to just get going right away, and you'll be able to just do all of this and more with relative ease. But for me, I just really struggled with all of these things because, you know, life is difficult. But as a small business owner and as a music teacher, you know, if a student or 2 or 3 or 4 goes away during the summer, for example, the summers are always light. So I often make possibly half as much money in the summer, so like 3 months, as I normally do during the year. But I still have to pay my quarterly taxes in June, which is the beginning of the summer vacation, and then September, which is the end of the summer vacation. So June and September and the whole summer for me are just really bare bones months. They can be really bare bones months. And you just never know. You might gain a lot of students one month, you might lose a bunch of students one month. It's just that our income is very much like this. And so in order to not lose your mind, it's so comforting to have some money in an emergency fund, or to just have a large savings account that can kind of be your buffer in those more bare bones times. And perhaps you'll be able to kind of shield yourself from those bare bone times by having a second income stream, which we can talk about in a little bit. But see if you can start to accumulate a large amount of savings just as an emergency savings account for you to use in your harder months, or if there is a reason for you to use it, if you have to go to the doctor, if you have an accident, if you want to go see a friend, if you want to go do something with music, if you just need to have some extra money for whatever the emergency might be, your car, your tires, just, those maybe aren't emergency things. But anyway, have 3 to 6 months, if you possibly can, saved up of money for emergency funds. So that might be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 or more for you to just have in cash in a savings account that you really don't touch. The other thing with saving is that in your business side, you're going to have your personal accounts, your personal checking account and your personal savings account, for example. And then you're also going to have your business checking account and your business savings account. All of your money that you make as a music teacher will go into your business checking account. And then you're going to save 30% of that for taxes every month, which goes into your business savings. And from your business checking, the rest of that, you can then pay yourself into your personal checking. And then you can distribute that money into your personal savings, all of your expenses and whatnot. And you're going to see how it takes, because we're cutting up the money or splitting up the money in those 4 accounts so much, you don't really seem like you really make very much at the end of the month. But over time, you'll start to retain money in those accounts, hopefully, if you're frugal and you're paying attention to your income. And by the way, this is something that you can start while you're in college as well. And if you're living at home, if you're living with friends and all of that kind of thing, you don't have to wait to be a music teacher or do the thing that you want to do when you're done with college. You should actually start before you're done with college so that you're already doing and making money. You have a few years in of you doing your business by the time you're done with college. So that would just be a tip, if at all possible. Even if you just have 1 or 2 students, you can start out small. So like I was saying, back in our personal accounts and in our business accounts, don't keep the minimum amount in your accounts. Have a nice buffer. If you can possibly work up to $1,000 or $2,000 buffer in your business checking, in your personal checking, those would be really good. And then in your business savings, you can think of that as money for taxes, which is mostly going to be for taxes. And if you have any extra money, you can put it in your business savings for business expenses like a computer, strings, rehairs, microphones, recording equipment, music room stuff, instrument stuff, travel to do concerts, or go to music festivals or education or whatever it is that you want to do. You can save up in your business savings account. But have an emergency savings account for possibly leaner times or emergencies, and then have $1,000 or $2,000 or more, whatever you're able to have a nice buffer in your checking accounts, just because you also just don't want the stress of just having the minimum in your accounts. So then going on to investments, you can talk about this with your accountant and your investment advisor. But as a small business owner, you can have a self-employment pension, which is called a SEP account, SEP, a self-employment pension. And that's really awesome because let's say you make $50,000, you can, and it's not necessarily this way, there's actually a percentage that you can invest. I don't know what the percentage is, but let's just, for easy mathematical numbers, let's say you make $50,000 a year as being a music teacher, and then you invest $10,000 of that dollars into your self-employment pension. That means that you're only paying taxes on $40,000 rather than $50,000. So it actually saves you money in taxes to invest in your self-employment pension. The only thing is that you're going to pay taxes on that money when you take it out when you're an old wrinkled raisin in the future. So you can have a self-employment pension that helps minimize your taxes that you need to pay every year or every quarter. But you can also have a Roth IRA. And a Roth IRA is really great because as an old wrinkled raisin in the future, you don't have to pay taxes on the money that you take out of that. And for both the SEP account and the Roth IRA account, they're both retirement accounts, by the way, you should really strive to max those out every year. But having said that, if you do that, you're going to have very little money left over to actually live on. Because if you are investing $6,000 in your SEP and then $6,000 in your Roth, that's $12,000 a year. That leaves and you also have to pay taxes on top of what you just, your normal $50,000 you have to pay, or $40,000 because you invested some in your SEP account, for example. You'd still have to pay taxes on that money. And then you also have to pay for your health insurance. You have to pay for your instrument insurance. You got to pay for your rent and your dental insurance, your vision insurance. You have to pay your Social Security, which comes out of your taxes as well. There's just a lot of expenses that one has to pay for being a small business owner. So anyway, the other thing having to do with investments and being a business owner, small business owner, is that you also don't have any life insurance or disability insurance. So you might want to look into something like that. I have an interesting plan, which is life insurance and disability insurance at the same time. It's an interesting plan. I forget it's by National Life Insurance. But anyway, so you're gonna have a lot of things to pay for. So having said that, you don't want to get into debt if at all possible. Remember, we're gonna live frugal, monk-like lives, especially when we're in our 20s and 30s, so that we can start to save up money and have a nice cushy amount saved for ourselves in our 30s. But having said that, you might want to have an emergency, oh my gosh, credit card if needed. You really, really don't want to get into any credit card debt or any debt. Of course, if you want to buy a car, we have to take on debt for that. But I'm just talking about like frivolous spending debt. You really, really want to avoid that. But if something hits the fan, it's helpful to have an emergency credit card. And I have a great credit card from Citi, and it's my American Airlines credit card. American Airlines has a Citi card and has a MasterCard, I believe. And that's really great because if you're a musician and you're traveling, you want to have priority access to boarding so that you can put your instrument on before everyone else gets their bag on. So when you have the American Airlines credit card, for example, you always board in group 5, and there's like 8 or 9 groups. So you get to board pretty early. But they also are a great credit card because every once in a while they periodically send you these 0 APR for 6 or 9 months, or even a year. 6 months to a year, for example, of 0 APR. So for example, let's say you need to get some business equipment, recording studio stuff, a better computer, microphone, all those kinds of things. And you don't want to take $5,000 out of your savings. You know that you'll be able to pay it off if you finance it, but you just don't want to take out $5,000 out of your savings because that's your savings. You could put all of that on your credit card, for example, that has the 0 APR balance for a year, and then you would just make you could divide the year, and let's say it's $5,000, you divide 5,000 by 12 months if you have a year of 0%, and then that would be your monthly payment. Or you can pay 1.5 times that so that you have a little bit of a buffer. So you can kind of finance things, and there's probably other ways that you can finance it too. It's just I've been able to do it with my credit card several times. and that's been really helpful. So let's see, is there anything else that I'm forgetting about? Yeah, oh, well, with the health insurance, just since I made a recommendation for a credit card and my life insurance, disability insurance, major, it's life insurance, disability insurance, and yeah, I think it's just that. So that's national life insurance that I have. For health insurance, it took me a while to like figure out a health insurance that I could actually afford. Blue Cross Blue Shield was really, really, really expensive for me at the time when I was on that. So over the last couple of years, I switched over to United Health, their Golden Rule plan, and that seems to be really much more affordable. It's still expensive. And it's not fun to go to the doctor because my plan that I have a $5,000 deductible, and my insurance pays 80%, and I pay 20% of that. But for example, I went to go get my earwax removed a couple months ago, and I also had a hearing test. I think I had 2 hearing tests and an earwax removal, and it was $635 for me to do that. And my insurance covered half of that. So I still had to pay $300 to go get my earwax removed and do like a hearing test. And you know, when I go to my primary care doctor, I haven't been this whole year, so it's probably about $200, possibly $200 to $300 for me to see a specialist in my primary care. It's just really expensive. So if I was going to see the doctor more frequently, I might have a lower deductible, but knock on wood, I'm a pretty healthy person, and I just randomly rarely go to the doctor. But we still need to have health insurance even if we don't go to the doctor very much. We think in our 20s that we're healthy and everything's fine, and we are, but imagine if you get pregnant, or if you get in a little accident in the car or on your bike or whatever it is, if you twist your ankle weirdly, if you cut your finger and cutting garlic in the kitchen, you need to have health insurance. So, we got to just bite the bullet and do that. So I would check out United Health Golden Rule and see if that might be something, or, just check and see if you can kind of compare plans, I think. I'm not an expert in this field by any means, but just some tidbits. So as far as, some music teacher, business, everyday kinds of things, it's really helpful to have a lesson rules policy. I call it my studio housekeeping rules. So let me just see if I have that printed out here. I usually have those kinds of things I have it on my computer, but I might not have it in my teaching book. Yeah, I must not have that here. But just as an example, having a 24-hour cancellation policy and making sure that any makeup lessons need to be rescheduled within the month. Just really sticking to your guns with that. Don't, you just kind of have to lay down the rules, because otherwise if you don't, your business is going to spiral into chaos. So I would really, if nothing else with your studio rules, have a 24-hour cancellation policy, and also that any rescheduled or, makeup lessons need to be made within the month. You can also say that you can't guarantee that they will be made up within the month, and that they don't roll over. So, there's things that I offer to my studio, every 2 weeks we do a group violin class, which is complimentary for my weekly students. It's a small fee for my not weekly students. It's only $15 a month to join that on Patreon. We also do a monthly virtual studio circle where we have some community time to play music and just have a little chat once a month. And all of these group activities are on Zoom, and they're for my adult students. So those are like complimentary things for my weekly students. So if they miss a lesson, which is pretty rare, but if they do and we can't make it up, they can always come to one of those, and that's nice. And then for my weekly students, if they want to do that extra $15 a month, they can always come to 3 more hours of violin stuff. I need to do something for the viola. But that would be our virtual studio circle too. This is the violas can infiltrate the violin group class as well. But so anyway, have a studio housekeeping rules. That's really, really helpful. And let me just find my notes once again here. Have some kind of scheduling software to help you with your student lessons and sending lesson reminders. It used to be called Music Teacher's Helper, but I believe it's called Duet Partner now. They're a yearly subscription. I think they might be monthly now. And it's really, I'm sure that you can kind of figure out your own software by yourself, or you could use Google Calendars, you could kind of do it, but I don't know how to do that. So I just always subscribe to this Duet Partner software. And they're a website, but they're also an app, so I can open the app and I can see my calendar. It's really easy to schedule students weekly or bi-weekly or once a month if you do that. And you can also keep track of things in the app, like your expenses. You can track your income. You can track, lesson materials if you lend them out. You can track a lot of stuff in Duet Partner. And all these things that you pay for, they're business expenses, which means that, once again, if you make $50,000, you invest 10 in your STEP, and then you have $40,000 left. If you have $10,000 of business expenses, then you're just paying taxes on $30,000, which is a lot lower than $50,000, for example. So anyway. The other thing is that Duet Partner, they send a lesson reminder to the student the day before. And that's really helpful because there's no, oh, I forgot my lesson. There was an email lesson reminder that went out. So there's it's just really helpful. It also looks really professional to have your student register to become a student. You can send them a link to register and create a student account. And then it automatically adds them to your wait list. So if you happen to be a busy music teacher and you don't have any room at the moment to take on new students, you can still accept new students and just put them on your wait list and tell them that they'll be on the wait list, and that you'll check in with them, periodically to just let them know, how it's going and if there's a spot opening up soon. So, okay, let's see, anything else? Oh, keeping track of, there's 2 more things. Keep track of your lesson payments. And if you're like me and you're just a little bit technologically challenged, you can easily do that with just using like a little ledger like this. So you can, for example, you would have 12 of these because there's 12 months. So you could put whatever the month is and the date, the students, and then how many lessons you're expecting them to have, if there's an adjustment, and if they paid. So you can, or however you want to, keep track of it. So that way you can see, who owes you still, and what your income is. You can I also keep track of other events I do. So when I invite a guest artist, I'll put guest artist and then the date, how much I paid them and how many students are coming to it and how much they paid. And then if I do any in-person classes, same thing, I'll put down what my costs are, and then I'll make a little list of the number of students that are coming to that and what they paid. So I also can just easily see what my expenses for the month were, and how everyone is on track. So I'm forgetting something. You can keep track of your receipts as well, really. There's probably an easier way that you can do it, but I just have an envelope and it's for the whole year. So I just put my receipts for the year in that one envelope. I'll put what it was for on the receipt, and like if it's recording studio or music room, I'll just put music room expense and just pop that in the envelope. You could, if you have a lot of expenses, you could figure out how to do it by the month, so you're keeping track of your monthly expenses a little bit clearer. You could definitely do that. But anyway, as far as just like trying to give yourself peace of mind, it's also really helpful, especially when you're starting out, to have an extra income stream. So when I was in college, I was very lucky and had a stipend from the university. So, but it wasn't enough for me to live on. It helped me cover my rent and some other little expenses here and there. But I also was a babysitter, and I helped out an old lady with her chores and things. And so I did that through the website. I think it was care.com or babysitter.com or whatever. There's also all sorts of things that you can do. I did that for a long time, and then my studio started to grow, so I didn't really need that. And I also have been doing YouTube for many years. I think it's been like 10 years I've been doing YouTube for. I don't make a lot of money from YouTube. I make $100 to $200 a month from YouTube, and it's just kind of like, extra. It's a small amount of extra money. From Patreon, I make anywhere from $150 to $200 a month from Patreon. So I, make maybe $300 extra just from those other sources of income, revenue, whatever. So that's just really helpful. It's also really helpful if you're a musician or an artist or a small business owner to have a partner that has a stable job. So, it's just like, it's just really, really helpful if you have a partner that doesn't have to deal with all of this stuff, because especially when you get married, you can go on to your partner's health insurance plan. You can go on to your partner's like dental and vision insurance, and their income doesn't do this. And I don't know, it's just really helpful if you can have a partner that's not not doing what you're doing. But having said that, it doesn't mean that you can't, because of course everybody's situation is different, and it might be even better for you to have a partner that is doing what you're doing, so you have twice as much energy doing what you're doing. But anyway, that was just a little snarky side note. So you guys, I think that's all that I can think of at the moment. You also have to look after yourself. You have to find time for you time. You have to figure out how to switch off your business at the end of the day when you're going to start doing what you're doing. I have a little system of keeping track of what I'm doing during the week of my own goals. So, and it's really easy. I just put 5 sticky notes up for every day. I write down what I need to do on that day, and then if I achieve that thing, I put a gold star on it. And sometimes I don't always achieve everything that I would like to do that day, but I'll just have to do it sometime during the week. Like the week can't end until I've accomplished those things. So, keep track of your things that you need to do. And also, our lives are often just all about music or whatever it is that we're doing, but find like a thing that you are doing that's not music related, or that's maybe a different aspect of music. So it could be your own recital, for example. That's something that I did this year, and that was so awesome. It got me, because of course I'm a music teacher, but it got me back into my own passion of music, and helped me to get to another level, helped me to grow, helped me to learn something, helped me to have some interesting experiences. And writing a music book, having fun little projects, it's just really, really great. Reading is also a wonderful thing to do because as teachers, it's helpful for us to read and have just like a broad knowledge of just random things, you know. Working with people, you have to be interested in just like communicating with others, trying to be clearer, trying to be more concise with things, perhaps trying to figure out how you are going to help this person get from here to here to here as time progresses, and help to build their confidence and their enjoyment of the thing that they're doing. So in order for you to make others happy, you have to be happy. So if you ever sit down, you know, at your computer for your lesson, or you're teaching in person and you are just not having a good day, and you bring that to your lesson, it just like it brings down everything, and you know, it actually won't potentially be as enjoyable for the other person, for your student who's there to have a good time, who's happy to see you, who is excited to play their instrument and have some music time, you know, for the week. So you have to figure out how to deal with your own stuff so that you can either drop that and then be there for your music teacher mode, or just not. You have to figure out how to process your own stuff, basically, so that you can you know, you can be there, you can show up completely and help someone learn. So anyway, I guess with that, if you have any questions, and if I think of some other things, I will make a part 2 of this music teacher survival tips. But it's really fun to be a music teacher. It's really fun to just do the thing that you love. It's very scary, and it's often financially unstable or unstable. But you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And just start doing what it is that you want to do in little ways every day. And in a year, 2 years, 5 years of you doing those little things every day, you'll have grown and built something really cool. So I guess with that, you guys, thanks for watching. I will link some helpful videos below of starting a business, just like getting a business license, all those kinds of things. And if there's any other helpful videos that I'll put a little link of some videos that I think might be helpful down below. If you're interested, my website, it will be linked down below, which is violinviolamasterclass.com, Patreon, which is patreon.com/violinviolamasterclass. And I just wish you all the best with whatever it is that you're doing. You can do it.